Welcome, everyone, to the cover reveal of The Madness of People, Book 2 in the Soul Survivors series by Shelly Campbell. Hi, Shelly, wave.
Hi.
And Megan King.
Hi.
Yay. All right, so we like to not torture too much and talk too much until we reveal the cover, because that's why we are all here. So let's get a look at this YA post-apocalyptic cover. Ta-da! Look at that beautiful thing. So tell us, we have two people on the cover this time. So who are we featuring on the cover?
We've got Iris and Beau, her love interest, Robert. Yeah.
I'm so excited. I love it. Now, this is not a romance. The romance is a sideline, but I still love it so much. I'm so happy when I see it. So thank you so much. It's a lot of fun. So we have they go through some growing pains in this book, I would say. Is that what you would call it?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, they are young.
Pains. There's growing pains. Yeah.
Yes, there's lots of pains in this one.
They're young and they have more things to worry about than homework.
Yes.
So I think, Megan, you're reading the back cover copy, right? Let's go ahead and read that so everyone can get kind of a look. And before you get started, I do want that Birdie says she likes the cover. She really likes the train. Northern Light says beautiful cover. So nicely done. And let's hear what this amazing story is about.
All right. Iris at Cozia's world has ended more than once. The first time she was too young to remember. Solar flares wiped out electrical grids and whittled her stiff-collared community into a cellar of data and rare books. The second time, Iris's beloved Uncle Nate used her as a catalyst to thrust her people into a civil war that ousted their greedy CEO, David Kahn, but left their town, Painted Bluff, broken and defenseless. Iris is not about to let her world end a third time. She's a community leader now and presses to forge an alliance with the starving but well-armed marauders who stalk Painted Bluff's borders. But she's not the only one making deals. Robert Lycos, the boy she's loved for as long as she can remember, sees another solution, a partnership with a coal company. Iris is horrified when Robert admits to volunteering as a hostage to expedite the deal. When Kahn escapes imprisonment and makes a deal of his own, everything both young people have built topples. Now the race is on to establish strong alliances before their old CEO gathers enough resources to take his town back and bring Iris's world crashing down one last time.
Dun, dun, dun. I mean, this poor town can't get a break, man.
No.
I mean, the first time.
It's a rough
Yeah.
Right. That's why this book, I go back and forth because it is post-apocalyptic, but it's also dystopian because they tried to rebuild the society in a perfect way. And that didn't quite work either, right? So it kind of falls under both categories. So I'm wondering, did you just love the disaster in both things and you had to mash them together? Like what?
I think originally it was Megan's idea, and Knowledge itself was to set up this like society that thought that it was perfect and thought that the world outside of their borders was very different than it was. So they didn't realize they were being manipulated, was the whole premise of the first book. So get a little isolated area, get them set up and have them think their world and the world around them is totally different than what it actually is.
Yeah. Well, it worked. They were pretty fooled.
Yeah.
Gosh, doggone Iris. And I say this all the time. It's how I sell the book too, right? Like, this is the best representation of an ADHD main character that I've ever seen. So I love that. So how do you make sure that is authentic?
My brain.
That's how Megan, I relate to Megan a lot for that. My son has ADHD and I might have some neurospicy tendencies, but I don't think I've got ADHD, and so I wouldn't have felt comfortable for a main character getting inside their head, not knowing what their interior thoughts would look like. And so I entirely relied on Megan. Everything going on in Iris's head had input from Megan. So I would kind of write a scene and be like, this is what's happening on the outside. Tell me what's happening on the inside.
I took lots of what was going on in my own personal life, and it was easy to just describe.
Yeah, no, I love it because a lot of people think ADHD is just squirrel, but it isn't, right? Like it's
No.
when your brain goes, it seems to go in a crazy way because you didn't hear all the steps that happened
Yeah.
in our brain. So going with Iris, we could see all the steps, and sometimes it feels like squirrel again if your brain doesn't work like this, but it's actually because you're seeing everything around you. So when you're seeing everything around you all the time, it's kind of hard not to be thinking about all those things at the same time. So it's
Yeah.
just it's really well done. I liked it. So it's my favorite part that you take this character, but make her the hero. So, because we're always the hero until something
Right.
else is more fun. Then we go do that.
Until we're halfway through and lose our motivation.
That's right. They were like, never mind. I got all the clothes washed. We'll talk about folded later. That's right.
As long as they're clean.
What more do you want? It's fine. But no, I love it. It is really exciting. And the cover, so a little bit about the cover for this one. So we've got trains on this one. We've got cowboys in this one. I kind of feel like this one has more of a Western spin. So you've still got the same kind of, they're still trying to, their town is now theirs. So sorry, spoiler if you haven't read the first one, but you'll figure it out. It's fine. That's not the most exciting part about it.
Just plug your ears.
That's right. Go get curseddragonship.com/knowledge itself. Go get that one. And then you can watch the video later and we'll be good. But I love, like, this one has more of a Western feel to it. And I'm wondering, why did you decide to go that direction? What was natural about that for you?
I don't know that we think of it as Western.
Yeah.
We just,
Western.
This is just, I don't know. It's close to where we live. And it's, I don't know, it says, outside is like Survivor, the whole Survivor thing, being outside and having to, like, I don't know, having to live through that. We can, like, obviously we live in houses, but we don't, we could see how hard that would be in that environment. I don't know, maybe that's.
You'd need to have some of the characters in there to be able to survive outside of a nice cushion little society like Iris did. Would have to have the same sort of survival skills you'd have to have if you were ranching in some harsh country and surviving out on your own in the wilds. Good horseman skills will be required, like roads are falling apart. You're not going to get around on vehicles too well for too long. So things like that. So I think a lot of the people they encounter. And we were trying to, the last book, you got to see a lot of what Iris's world looked like, what that little contained bubble world looked like. And it was just like the initial shock of like, okay, maybe bit of an unreliable narrator, the whole story itself, because you're like, that's not how the world is outside. So we really wanted to be like, what is the world like outside in book 2? And just take them a bunch of different places where the post-apocalypse went a little bit differently than it did in their little town.
No, I love it. It's really cool. And we have the trains and cowboys, but you also have the motorcycles, which are introduced in the first one too.
Yes.
So why did you were very specific about your motorcycles. I have to say, it's brilliant. Tell us a little bit about those.
Well, if you read in Knowledge Itself, the first one, what their little settlement is built on is some rich guy saw the solar flare post-apocalypse coming, had money to throw at everything, and thought, I'm going to build myself the nicest little survival commune ever for myself. I'm going to order motorcycles that run on diesel, and there's only a few motorcycles out there in the world that are diesel motorcycles, because diesel is more stable. You can have diesel fuel for much longer than gasoline will last. And so he wanted to order some of these there, and he had himself set up quite nicely. But then what ended up happening is he died, and all of the people that were his contractors that were building this place ended up being the people that took over this town. So the motorcycles are a vestige of that. He wanted to have the best of everything. If he wanted to take a ride down the highway, he wanted to have a whole fleet of motorcycles to choose from. So we had lots of spare parts, and there's only 1 or 2 types of motorcycles out there in the world that are diesel, so it was pretty easy to pick from them.
Which one?
And it's funny because
I don't think you told us what kind it is.
Oh, I have to remember now.
I know. See, I don't remember either. Isn't that sad? This is going to be trivia. You're just going to have to read the book. And at the book launch for Madness of People, that's right, we're going to give away a special book for the person who knows.
Yeah, doing proofreading for us, saying they're checking their bikes to go beforehand. And I said they're checking the glow plug. And they're like, don't you mean spark plug? Because unless it's a diesel. And I was all like haughty, like, actually, it is a diesel. And here's why.
Oh, no, I love it. I love it. It makes me so happy. Let's see. Robert says, agreed about the cover. The colors are amazeballs. Oh, now I know what generation you are, Robert. You just gave it away. And the scene brings in interesting questions. Yes. Yes, it does. So it's really cool. And it was funny because your cover designer is Stephanie Saw. She's one of our favorites, and she did a great job with the first cover. So obviously we wanted her to keep going. And she was like, like she couldn't figure out what the environment. So I just like took a picture of Alberta and sent it to her. I said, like this, like the tourist picture of Alberta, right?
Yeah.
And I was like this. So it was really funny.
Yeah.
So what do you think? That works, right?
Oh yeah, it gets the
Yeah.
setting across quite well, and
Yeah.
and what kind of things they'll run into in the wider world.
I love it. I love it. And of course, the sun is important because that is, what destroyed the society. So we have to make sure. And Shelley was clever enough to come up with that soul survivor. I just love that. It's I love it. I love it. It's very clever. All right. So we have a little selection ready for the readers so they can get a bit of the inside. Yes?
Yes. So I didn't pick
Excellent.
right at the start of the book, but I picked a scene pretty close to the start of the book. Iris's
Okay.
settlement is still in tatters from civil war. She's carrying a lot of guilt because her beloved uncle used her as a pawn to kind of escalate that war and take over the spoils, is what his plan was. But although she escaped him and prevented an immediate takeover, her home's still in a lot of danger. There's a marauder group entrenched in the hills around them, waiting for any opportunity to strike. And just prior to the scene, Iris has fled the bunker that they're hunkering down in to collect some bait traps on the lake when Robert, the love interest, confronts her for avoiding him and coming outside alone. She keeps pushing him away because she can't bring herself to tell him that she was this catalyst that drove her city to ruin and brought the whole world down around him. It's forest fire season, and they've been arguing on the smoky shore of a lake. So that's what we're stepping into just here. How easily we'd fallen right back into our old familiar grooves, Robert and me. People looked to him as the eager go-getter who was going places. They saw me as a frazzled wreck who mucked out the goat pens. And why wouldn't they? I kept falling apart in front of everyone. They had no idea I'd been the catalyst who drove them to war or the escapee who'd saved them all from slavery. They didn't even know that Nate was alive. I needed to focus, but whenever Robert was around, all I could think of was lying next to him in his backyard, watching falling stars, his hand on my back, and the soft urgency of his kisses. Robert, I breathed, buying time to formulate the perfect combination of sharp words to drive him away before I started crying or kissing him, or both. I'm not some lost girl in the wilds you need to protect. His face dropped. You know I don't see you like that. Then stop being so damn clingy. Bullseye. Those words hit the mark, and I immediately wished I could take them back. Robert stiffened. Robert, whose mom had killed herself, whose dad had lost his mind and left the upkeep of an obscenely expensive house on his son's shoulders. Robert's whose whole life had burned around him because of me. We stood frozen, smoke heavy and sour around us. The scars on my cheek burned as my face reddened. Robert's eyes iced over. He coughed and pulled his mask back up over his mouth and nose, and then he turned and walked stiffly up the pathway. He was already around the bend when an explosion rocked the hillside, shuddering through all my organs. Robert? I meant to yell it, but his name came out dry and dusty. Shale skittered down the hillside, and a belch of black smoke mushroomed into the haze above the city. Run, stupid, my mind blared. Snatching up my phony rifle, I scrambled up the trail. Robert? Cracks and thuds of gunfire filled the sky in harried clusters, like bullets were birds flushed by the explosion. I couldn't tell where the shots were coming from. Everything echoed off the hills. Ducking low, I charged around the bend and nearly collided with the person barreling towards me. Not Robert. A girl. She wore a hockey helmet with plastic gems glued all over it, and when she saw me, she yelped, skidded to a stop, and hoisted a semi-automatic weapon that looked too heavy for her scrawny arms. Her eyes were startlingly white and hard against the black charcoal smeared over the top half of her face. Don't, I barked, bracing my own weapon and glaring down the barrel. Frag, I was going to die. A soul-damn little girl. We froze, panting and sizing each other up. Me with my Kevlar vest and a moderately convincing toy soldier gun, and her with the real deal, a mean-looking piece with a hefty magazine and a rainbow macrame strap with white beads studding its length. Not beads, I realized, nausea flooding the back of my throat. Human teeth. I shook my head and willed my voice to sound calm and authoritative. Don't be stupid. Here. I lowered my gun and eased the freeze-dried packet of apples out of my back pocket. I'd been using them to bait the minnow traps. Truce, okay? Her eyes widened. She was skinnier than I'd first thought, swimming in her faded hoodie, charcoal-painted cheeks sunken. I knelt slowly and set the dried apples between us before backing up. They're sweet, like candy. Iris. My name floated over her shoulder, and the young marauder flinched and spat out a pile of words. I couldn't understand them, but they were spoken with enough vitriol that I gathered that most of them were swears. Walk away before you're surrounded, I said. Last chance. Her face twisted. Robert's footsteps pounded towards us from further up the bend. The girl hunched her shoulders. Tendons stood out on her neck, and her weapon swayed in her hands. Then she lunged for the packet between us, dodged around me, and sprinted towards the lake. Unraveled bits of duct tape flapped from her wrapped boots. What are you looking at? Let's go, Robert's muffled voice yelled. I jumped and gaped as he grabbed my elbow, and I let him pull me up the path while pops of gunfire slowed around us.
Such a good scene. There's so much I want to say and talk about, but I can't. It's so exciting. So I love it. I am very excited for this book. The pre-order is up now. Zafo has the link, so make sure you can go straight there, order it so you don't forget. And the release date, why do I always forget to look it up? It is June 4th. So Tuesday, June 4th is the release date. So we will have this baby up and ready. And once I get it formatted, Shelly and Megan will have early copies ready. So you'll have some art copies. So if people are so excited and they really want to get the art copy of this, where do they go? Like, do you want them to sign up for your newsletter? Do you have a, like, where do they need to go so they find out?
You can sign up for the newsletter on my website. So if you want to look that up, it's www.shellycampbellauthorandart.com. And as soon as you subscribe, it'll send you some free bookmarks and some short stories, and I'll make sure to email you if you would like an arc of the book.
Yay! That'll be awesome. All right, thanks so much. Well, we are very excited for this. Do you know how many books they're going to be in this series? At least 3, obviously, because this one does not round it all up. So 3, perfect. So we're 2/3 of the way there in this great adventure of Iris's. But I'm really excited. So now that everyone, they are fans and excited about it, where can they find you guys and your work besides obviously your webpage? Any of your socials? You active on Facebook? I know, Shelly, I see you on Facebook a ton.
Yes.
I am kind of computer illiterate, so I don't really do much.
I was like trying to tag you. I'm like, I can't find her. I think Instagram. I think I found you on Instagram. I tagged you on that one.
I'm on just about every social media, but for some reason I signed up at all different times and I don't have the same tagline on any of them. So my website's probably still the best place to go to get to all those links. But yeah, I'm on what once was Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all over the place.
I love it. I love it. And also, if anyone is up in Alberta area, you do a lot of local events too as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're up in any sort of Comic-Con event up here, they're few and far between, but we get to them when we can.
There's a fan expo we're thinking about. So keep that in mind. We're looking at that one as well. We're very successful, the one in Dallas. So we are considering. So excellent. Well, thank you so much. Congratulations for completing this book. I mean, this is no small feat, and I am quite impressed. And we will see you guys later.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.